young people obsessed with conspiracy theories kidnap the head of a large pharmaceutical company to stop the end of the world. They are convinced that the captive is an agent of alien invaders planning to enslave all of humanity. The action of the film begins at an apiary, where beekeeper Teddy, along with his autistic cousin Don, discusses a conspiracy theory about why the bee population has been steadily dying out recently. Teddy is convinced that this is the work of large megacorporations run by real aliens. Conspiracy theorist Teddy plans to fight back against the aliens, for which he keeps his body in shape by doing yoga and fitness. He involves Don in the training, convinced that when the lunar eclipse occurs, aliens called Andromedians, using the natural phenomenon as cover, will park their mothership on Earth, and their secret agents are already mingling among people, preparing the ground for a full-scale invasion. In parallel with them, Michelle, the head of a large pharmaceutical company, is preparing her body for a long, productive, and happy life. From early morning, the woman practices numerous procedures designed to lock the beauty of youth in her relentlessly aging body. For Ton, Michelle practices martial arts, while the specially hired trainer carefully goes easy on her. When Michelle goes to work at the factory, brothers Teddy and Don go shopping, getting everything necessary for their plan to save the planet from alien invaders. In the evening, Teddy convinces Don that for the success of the operation, they need 100% concentration. The man asks his brother to undergo chemical castration so that sexual instinct does not drain their strength. He himself has already done it long ago. Don hesitates for decency's sake, but eventually agrees to the injection, which causes irreversible changes in the body. As a successful businesswoman, Michelle records a video message praising her company as a leading beacon of progress, inclusivity, and tolerance. However, off-camera, she is extremely arrogant towards the subordinate staff. After work, the girl goes home, where two masked kidnappers, Teddy and Don, are waiting for her in the bushes. Sneaking up to the car, the brothers try to grab the target, but Michelle escapes thanks to her physical training. She tries to hide in the house, but Teddy chases her, forcing her to fight him in the bushes. Breaking free, the woman runs across the lawn but soon notices a syringe sticking in her leg and falls unconscious. The kidnappers shove the limp body into the car, simultaneously adding car theft to their list of crimes. Sitting behind the wheel, Teddy orders his brother to shave the victim's head. Through their hair, the Andromedians maintain communication with the mothership and each other. That same evening, the brothers dispose of the cut hair, masks, and other evidence by burning them in a bonfire. Michelle, bound hand and foot, is placed in the basement of Teddy's house, where antihistamine cream is applied to her face. It also blocks the aliens' communication. Meanwhile, the host explains to Don that aliens can be identified by their distinctive features: thin ankles and fingers, ears, and facial structure. Then, before the woman regains consciousness, the kidnappers dress in costumes to present themselves in full splendor, thus showing respect. When Michelle comes to, Teddy introduces himself as the head of the resistance against the alien intervention. He explains history, according to which she belongs to a malevolent alien species, but the woman denies the accusations, saying that she is an important business figure and that she will be searched for and found soon. To avoid complicating the situation, she suggests they come to an agreement and part ways immediately. Her words provoke laughter. Teddy doesn't believe a single word. He insists that the captive must arrange an audience with the Andromedan Emperor on his ship so they can negotiate a compromise where humanity won't be enslaved. The captors hand Michelle a recorder to record a message to her kin and leave her alone. Watching her through a video camera, the brothers have dinner. Teddy says that the aliens are poisoning bees with pesticides, and this is just the beginning. At night, he has surreal flashbacks about his sick mother. In the morning, Teddy rides his bicycle to work. On the way, he is stopped by a policeman who turns out to be Casey, an old acquaintance who used to be his babysitter. Casey invites his former charge to visit, but he politely declines, not eager to continue the interaction. During lunch at the warehouse, Teddy watches a TV report about the disappearance of the head of a pharmaceutical company. In the evening, after returning home and checking the apiary, Teddy goes down to the basement to Michelle to continue the conversation. Although the captive recorded a request for a meeting with the Emperor on the tape recorder, as he asked, the guy is still dissatisfied. He says that it's not even her native language. The woman continues to insist that she's not an alien, which only angers Teddy. He even menacingly swings a chair at her, breaking it and scaring Dawn. When Michelle calls the kidnapper a sick person, he hits her. Later, Teddy shows Dawn the video footage about the Andromedians again. How they flew in from another star system on their fancy and intricate spaceship, which could be called Michelle at this time is trying to escape, testing the strength of the chain and the embedded rings, returning to the basement with new thoughts and a shotgun. The kidnappers, like Vladimir Ilyich, suggest taking a different path. They attach electrodes to Michelle, hoping that electric shocks will make her a bit more compliant. And to prevent her incoherent screams from irritating their ears, the men turned up the music. Teddy methodically and systematically increases the voltage, monitoring the vital signs of the alien subject. When her screams drown out the music, Dawn tries to stop his brother, but he doesn't allow interference. Only when the power goes out from the voltage does Dawn pull the plug, cutting off the homemade electric chair. A stunned Teddy realizes that usually aliens couldn't withstand such voltage. Desasseral. He apologizes to Michelle, but not because he decided she is human. The kidnapper realized that she is a high-ranking member of the alien imperial family. That's why such endurance. Wiping the blood from her face with a cloth, Teddy invites the royal alien to dinner. At night, the guy remembers how he met Michelle for the first time. Back then, his sick mother was enrolled in an experimental treatment course with a new drug developed by her company. During the day, while Teddy is at work, the captive, under Dawn's supervision, takes a bath preparing for dinner. She is seated on a specially secured chair, with her legs strapped to the leg of the chair so she doesn't escape before dessert. The seemingly peaceful dinner conversation touches on the topic of bees, a favorite yet painful subject for Teddy. Knowing his opinion on the true reasons, Michelle says that in reality, no one really knows what the matter is. Queen bees simply flee from the hives, dooming the swarm to extinction. In her opinion, conspiracy theorists like Teddy want to find a simple explanation and assign blame, like a secret corporate conspiracy. But in reality, the situation is not like that at all. When Teddy accuses the guest of killing bees again, calling her an alien, Michelle suddenly remembers seeing him when the guy's mother was signed up for experimental treatment. After that, the woman got worse and fell into a coma. Michelle's stories about such outcomes being possible with experimental treatment slowly drive Teddy mad. In addition, she offers help to the kidnappers, comparing them to the mentally ill. In the end, Teddy just lunges at her across the table to attack. He strangles Michelle and in response, she stabs him in the hand with a fork. Detaching from the fallen chair, the girl tries to escape, but the guy catches up with her. However, Michelle, showing incredible agility, first closes the guard, then performs a sweep and ends up in full mount. Only a calming buttstock to the face subdued her. At this time, a police car pulls up to the house. Officer Casey looks around before seeing his old friend Teddy in the window. The cop asks for permission to enter, mentioning that he is checking the area for the missing head of the corporation, Michelle. Her car was caught on a surveillance camera in a nearby area. Teddy discreetly turns off the surveillance monitor, which shows the unconscious captive in the basement guarded by Dawn. To the cop's questions, he replies that he hasn't seen either the car or the missing woman. Due to the rules of hospitality, the host is forced to entertain the guest, manipulating with only one hand as the other was injured in a fight with a fork. To distract the visitor, Teddy takes him outside to show his apiary. In the basement, the awakened Michelle, realizing someone is upstairs, sees her guard is nervous. Remembering that Teddy bossed his brother around, completely subduing his weak will, the woman talks to him, trying to convince him that it's wrong and that Dawn can save her, like a real hero. However, he believes she is a real alien and asks to be taken on the spaceship. To gain trust, Michelle promises to show Dawn the spaceship. Then he apologizes for everything he has done, after which he paints everything around with his brains. Teddy and Casey heard the shot outside, which forces the owner to beat the policeman with a shovel to avoid getting caught. Returning to the basement, Teddy sees the blood-soaked prisoner and his brother. He grabs a gun, accusing Michelle of brainwashing his brother. The woman swears she has nothing to do with it, but due to the emotional moment, she realizes she needs to change tactics urgently. She plays along with the kidnapper, admitting that an experiment is being conducted on his mother to restructure her insides, having been artificially artificially induced into a coma with medication. To save her, it's enough to inject the antidote from the yellow antifreeze bottle in her trunk. She suggests he personally verify this claim right away. Teddy doesn't believe it, but Michelle insists it's true. Why would she lie if she's chained? Just in case, the guy knocks his wife out of her sleep with a precise blow from the rifle butt. The kneecap to reduce mobility. Sneaking into the ward, he injects a blue liquid into the IV bag and impatiently waits for his mother to wake up. However, the wait ends with an inevitable outcome. She dead from antifreeze intravenously without regaining consciousness. Crying, Teddy climbs out through the window and rushes home to take revenge on the deceiver. Meanwhile, Michelle somehow reaches Donna's corpse to pull the keys out of the pocket with her one good leg. Unfastening the lock on the chain, she realizes that she can't climb the stairs with her injured knee. Then her attention is drawn to a door disguised as a wall leading to the next room. Inside, it turns out to be a storage of human remains. Here, Teddy dissected those he suspected were aliens. Michelle finds detailed records of his crimes and many photographic evidences. When the distraught crying criminal bursts into the basement with a gun at the ready, Michelle meets him with regal dignity, outplaying the character of Teddy, who is overwhelmed by the loss of relatives. The woman learns that he killed 2 people. Then she tells him why aliens look like humans on the outside. Long ago, the Andromedans came to Earth when dinosaurs inhabited it. However, the visit of the aliens disrupted the balance in the ecosystem, leading to the extinction of the dinosaurs. Seeking to atone for their fault, the visitors from the stars created the first humans in their own image. People worshipped the Andromedans as Atlanteans, but despite this, their flawed nature prevailed. Time and again, humanity tried to destroy itself, waging wars, polluting nature. The last time, only a small handful of people survived, having managed to build an ark before the Great Flood. All this time, the Andromedians tried to change humanity, to make it better, to eradicate the evil from their nature. It was precisely for this purpose, and not for enslavement, that experiments were needed. Now the Emperor has a way to end wars and cruelty once and for all, which was planned for the date of the lunar eclipse. This revelation overturns Teddy's entire worldview, causing him to completely lose his composure and weep. The time of the lunar eclipse arrives. Michelle, wearing a wig, drives with Teddy to the company factory gates. Despite Don's corpse lying in the back seat, the woman parks as usual, after which she and the former kidnapper, limping, head to the office. It is from there that teleportation to the mothership occurs. While Teddy barricades the door, Michelle takes out a calculator, the teleport control. When she enters the secret code and waits for a response, it turns out that the guy has a homemade explosive device under his jacket. It is the threat of an explosion that forces the woman to play along and supposedly arrange the desired meeting with the Emperor of the aliens. Michelle orders the kamikaze to enter the closet, supposedly a disguised teleportation booth. When he closes the door, she gives a countdown, after which an explosion is heard. Michelle regains consciousness in the ambulance. Near the factory where the explosion occurred, emergency services are working. She suddenly breaks away from the doctors and escapes to return to the scene on foot. The woman sneaks inside, trying to avoid the police. She is interested in her own office. Michelle takes the calculator and locks herself in the twisted cabinet, painted with Teddy's remains in a bloody red color. The next moment, she emerges from the goo on an Andromedian spaceship. The teleport activated. In space, it turns out that Michelle is actually a member of the Imperial family. She reports everything that happened, including the loss of hair for communication, after which the Council, at her suggestion, concludes that the experiment with Earthlings failed. When the Andromedians leave the Council Hall, Michelle leans over the flat copy of Earth, covered by a soap bubble atmosphere. Zacchaeus says, A woman with a sad expression pierces this shell. On the planet, all people suddenly drop dead. Wherever they were. On beaches, in school, in museums, on roads, everywhere. Only unattended animals survived, dogs, cats, and even bees. The film ends on this note.